The story opens in media residential with visceral tension. Ada is crouched behind the marble kitchen island, her pulse thundering in her ears, hands trembling as she grips the medical kit she'd instinctively grabbed. Crimson droplets trail across the pristine white floor, a path leading from the private elevator to where her employer, Kongdae, now stands illuminated by the pendant lights. But this isn't the composed CEO she's been quietly pining for. His white dress shirt is soaked through with blood, his usually perfect hair disheveled, and in his hand, glinting under the warm kitchen glow, is a gun. Their eyes lock. Ada freezes, her breath caught somewhere between her lungs and her throat. She witnesses the cold calculation flash across his face as he assesses her, not as his maid, not as the woman who's been folding his clothes and preparing his meals for months, but as a witness. The intro establishes the danger immediately. Ada has seen something she was never meant to see, and the man she's been secretly loving is covered in someone else's blood, armed, and deciding her fate in real time. The pendant lights cast shadows across the dragon tattoo crawling up his neck, a mark she'd glimpsed before, but never truly seen. Now it seems to writhe in the dim light, a warning she'd been too naive to read.
Ada.
His voice cuts through the silence, rough and commanding, nothing like the polite distance he usually maintains. You need to leave.
Now.
But she doesn't run. Because beneath the blood and the gun and the danger radiating from him like heat, she sees something else. The way he's barely staying upright, the tremor in his gun hand, the growing stains spreading across his abdomen. He's dying. And in that moment, Ada realizes there's no going back. Not from this kitchen. Not from this choice. Not from him. This scene instantly sets the tone of a dark romantic thriller, where love and violence collide in a penthouse kitchen at 2 a.m. and a nursing student must decide whether to run from the monster or save the man bleeding out in front of her. Subscribe to see how this unfolds and comment where you're watching from. I will love to say hello to you. Ada's knees hit the cold marble as she scrambles toward him, the medical kit spilling open beside her. I'm not leaving. Ada. His voice is a warning wrapped in pain.
Seat. Down.
She surprises herself with the command, her nursing training overriding every screaming instinct to run. Before you pass out and crack your skull on my clean floor. Something flickers in his eyes, shock, maybe respect, before his legs give out and he collapses against the kitchen island. The gun clatters from his grip, sliding across the counter. Ada doesn't reach for it. Instead, she reaches for him. This is going to hurt, she says, her hands already working to peel the blood-soaked shirt from his torso. The fabric clings to the wound, and when it finally gives way, she sees it. A bullet hole just below his ribs, still bleeding but not arterial. He'll live. If she can get the bullet out. If infection doesn't set in. If. You should be running. His hand catches her wrist, grip surprisingly strong for a man losing blood. Do you understand what you're seeing? I understand you're bleeding out in my kitchen. She meets his gaze, unflinching. And I understand gunshot wounds. I've done my trauma rotation. Now let me work. For a long moment he stares at her. Really stares, like he's seeing her for the first time. Then his hand falls away. Ada works in focused silence, her world narrowing to the wound, the tweezers, the careful extraction. She's done this on mannequins, on supervised patients in sterile hospital rooms. Never on her kitchen island. Never on a man she's been half in love with for 6 months. Never with her own hands shaking this badly. Hold still, she whispers, and she's not sure if she's talking to him or herself. The bullet comes out clean. She drops it into a dish with a metallic clink that seems to echo through the penthouse. Kongdae doesn't make a sound, but she feels the tension in his body, sees the white-knuckle grip he has on the edge of the counter. When she leans in to clean the wound, Their faces are inches apart. She can feel his breath on her cheek, smell the copper of blood mixed with his cologne, something dark and expensive she's learned to associate with him moving through the halls, always just out of reach. Why aren't you afraid? His voice is rough, barely above a whisper. Her hands pause. Who says I'm not? Your hands are steady. Your breathing is controlled. You're not crying. I'm terrified, she admits, resuming her work, her fingers brushing against the hard planes of his abdomen as she applies the bandage. But you're not the thing I'm afraid of. She feels him tense under her touch, but he says nothing. She secures the dressing with practiced efficiency, but neither of them moves away. The kitchen suddenly feels smaller, the air heavier. His hand comes up, fingers ghosting along her jaw, and Ada's breath catches. His phone buzzes violently against the counter, shattering the moment. Kangdae glances at the screen, his expression hardening into something cold and distant. You need to go to your room. Lock the door. Don't come out until I tell you. Kangdae. Now, Ada. She goes. Morning light filters through the blinds of her small bedroom, painting stripes across the ceiling she's been staring at for hours. Ada didn't sleep. Every sound in the penthouse had her sitting upright, heart racing, replaying the image of him bleeding, of the gun, of the way his fingers had brushed her skin. She finally ventures out when the silence becomes unbearable. The kitchen has been cleaned. No blood.
No bullet casing.
No evidence of the violence that had painted the marble red just hours ago. For a moment, she wonders if she imagined it all, some stress-induced hallucination brought on by too many double shifts and too little sleep. Then she sees him. Kangdae is standing by the floor-to-ceiling windows, his back to her, one hand pressed against his bandaged side. He's changed into loose black pants and a fresh shirt, but the stiffness in his posture betrays the pain. You're awake. His voice makes her jump. I didn't mean to disturb. He spins, and suddenly there's a gun pointed at her chest. Ada freezes, hands instinctively rising. 4-3 heartbeats. They stare at each other across the living room. Then recognition floods his face, and the weapon lowers.
Shit.
He runs a hand through his hair, the gun dangling loose in his other hand. I thought you were someone else. Ada's voice is steadier than she feels. Someone who wants you dead. He doesn't deny it. Instead, he gestures to the couch.
Seat.
We need to talk. She sits. He remains standing, perhaps because sitting would require admitting weakness, or perhaps because he needs the physical advantage. The gun disappears into the back of his waistband. What do you know about me, Ada? You're the CEO of Geometriune Enterprises. You travel frequently. You don't like sugar in your coffee. I'm a criminal. The word lands between them like a stone. The company is legitimate, but it's a front. I run the Geometriune Syndicate. We control territory from Gangnam to Itaewon. Last night, a rival faction tried to send a message. They failed. Ada processes this, her nursing training kicking in again. Assess, don't panic, address immediate concerns. You need antibiotics. That wound could get infected. Did you hear what I just said? I heard you. She meets his gaze. I also heard you get shot. Infection doesn't care if you're a CEO or a crime boss. You need medical attention. Something like amusement crosses his face before the coldness returns. You can't leave. Excuse me? You're a witness now. You've seen my face covered in blood. You've treated a gunshot wound. If you walk out of here, you become a liability. He takes a step closer, and Ada forces herself not to flinch. You're confined to the penthouse until I decide what to do with you. I'm a prisoner. You're alive. His eyes are hard. Be grateful for that. He walks away, leaving her alone with the weight of her new reality. 3 days pass in strange suspension. Ada moves through the penthouse like a ghost, cooking meals Kangdae barely touches, cleaning rooms that don't need cleaning, avoiding the man who's become both her captor and her patient. She changes his bandages twice a day. He tolerates her touch with stone-faced silence, never acknowledging the intimacy of her fingers on his skin, never mentioning that first night in the kitchen. During these moments, Ada lets herself study him. The sharp line of his jaw, the dragon tattoo that seems to pulse with life, the way his muscles tense under her hands. She should hate him. She's trapped.
Confined.
A bird in a gilded cage. But she doesn't hate him. And that terrifies her more than anything. On the fourth night, she finds him in his study, surrounded by monitors displaying security feeds. She watches from the doorway as he reviews footage, his face illuminated by the blue glow of screens. How long are you going to stand there? He doesn't look at her. How did you know I was? I always know where you are in this apartment, Ada. He finally turns, and there's something dangerous in his expression. Did you think I haven't noticed? The way you watch me when you think I'm not looking? Heat floods her cheeks. I don't. You do. He stands, moving toward her with predatory grace. The question is why. Most people who learn what I am can't stand to be in the same room. But you're not afraid, are you? I didn't say that. You didn't have to. He's close now, close enough that she can see the flecks of gold in his dark eyes. You're afraid of the situation, of being trapped, of what it means that you saved my life. But you're not afraid of me. Ada's back hits the doorframe. Maybe I should be. Maybe. His hand comes up, fingers tracing the line of her throat with devastating gentleness. But you're not. Why is that, Ada? Why did you save me when running would have been smarter? Because I've been half in love with you since you asked me how I take my tea. Because I've memorized the sound of your footsteps. Because every time you say my name, something in my chest tightens. She can't say any of that. So she says nothing. Kangdae's thumb brushes her jaw, and for a moment, she thinks he might kiss her. Instead, he steps back, putting calculated distance between them. Get some sleep, Ada. Tomorrow things change. Morning finds Ada doing what she always does when the world becomes too much. She cleans. She's already scrubbed the bathrooms, reorganized the linen closet, and is halfway through polishing the kitchen counters when Kangdae emerges from his bedroom. He stops when he sees her. She's wearing the maid uniform, the one she'd chosen when she first started working here, despite him telling her casual clothes were fine. Black dress with a white ruffled neckline, the fabric fitted and professional. A barrier. A reminder of what she is and what she isn't. Why do you wear that? His voice cuts through the silence. Ada's hand stills on the counter. It's my uniform. I never asked you to wear a uniform. He crosses the kitchen in 3 strides, and suddenly he's right there, his fingers catching the white ruffle at her neckline. I told you the first week you could wear whatever you wanted. It's professional. It's a wall. His hand slides down to the apron ties at her waist. You wear this to remind yourself that you're the help, that you don't belong in my world, that there's a line between us that can't be crossed. Ada's breath hitches. Isn't there?
No.
The word is final, absolute. His fingers work the apron loose, and the fabric falls away. There stopped being a line the moment you chose to save my life instead of running. The moment you looked at me covered in blood and saw a man instead of a monster. Kangdae. You were never just help to me, Ada. His hands frame her face, forcing her to meet his eyes. From the first day you walked through that door with your head held high, speaking English with your beautiful accent, asking me if I minded you rearranging the books by color, you were never just anything. The confession hangs between them, raw and dangerous. Then what am I? She whispers.
Meaning.
The word is a growl, possessive and dark. If you'll have me, Before she can answer, before she can think, his mouth crashes against hers. The next morning, Kangdae finds her in the living room, staring out at the Seoul skyline. He's moving better now, the wound healing clean thanks to her meticulous care. I need to teach you to defend yourself. His voice is matter-of-fact, businesslike, a stark contrast to the heat of yesterday's kiss, which had been interrupted by his phone and left them both shaken. Ada turns. I thought I was safe here. Nowhere is truly safe in my world. And now that you're... He trails off, jaw tightening. If something happens to me, if someone gets past security, you need to be able to protect yourself. An hour later, she's standing in his private gym, the weight of a combat knife unfamiliar in her hand. Like this. Kangdae moves behind her, his body aligning with hers as he adjusts her grip. Firm but not rigid. You want to be able to move quickly. His breath is warm against her neck, his hands guiding hers through the defensive motions. Ada tries to focus on the technique, on the proper stance, but all she can feel is the solid presence of him pressed against her back. If someone grabs you from behind, his arm wraps around her throat in demonstration, not tight enough to hurt, just enough to trap. You use your whole body weight, drop down, and drive your elbow back. Hard. Ada executes the move, and Kangdae lets her break the hold. They run through it again.
And again.
Each repetition bringing them closer, the air growing thick with unspoken tension. Now the gun. He produces a pistol, checking it's unloaded before pressing it into her palm. Have you ever fired one? Never. It's lighter than you think. Hold it like this. He positions himself behind her again, his hands covering hers, adjusting her stance. Feet shoulder-width apart.
Breathe.
When you're ready, squeeze. Don't pull the trigger. The position is intimate, his front pressed against her back, his arms bracketing hers. Ada can feel his heartbeat, or maybe it's her own, thundering between them. Kangdae. His name comes out breathless. Show focus. But his voice is rough, strained. She squeezes the trigger. The empty click echoes through the room.
Good.
His lips brush the shell of her ear. Again.
Click.
Again.
Click.
His hand slides from the gun to her wrist, then up her arm. Ada turns in his grip, and suddenly they're face to face, breathing hard, the weapon forgotten between them. Ada. The security alarm blares through the penthouse, a harsh electronic scream that shatters the moment. Kangdae's entire body goes rigid, his hand immediately going to the loaded weapon at his back. My room. Now. He's already moving toward the monitors. Lock the door. Don't open it for anyone but me. What's happening? He looks back at her, and for the first time since that bloody night in the kitchen, she sees real fear in his eyes. Someone's breached the building. Ada runs, but not to her room, to the medical kit she'd restocked and hidden in the kitchen after that first night. If there's a breach, there will be injuries. Her hands know what to do even when her mind is screaming. The gunfire starts before she reaches the living room. Sharp cracks echo through the penthouse, muffled by reinforced walls, but unmistakable. Ada drops behind the kitchen island, the same island where she'd saved Kangdae's life, her heart hammering against her ribs. The shooting stops as abruptly as it started. Then voices. Kangdae's, cold and commanding, issuing orders in rapid Korean. The sound of heavy footsteps. A groan of pain. Ada peers around the island's edge. 3 of Kangdae's security team are dragging a wounded man through the foyer. Blood trails behind them. Kangdae follows, his weapon still drawn, his face a mask of lethal calm. Pressure on it until we get him to the safe room, he's saying. Then he sees her. Ada, I told you. He's bleeding out. She's already moving toward the wounded guard, medical kit in hand. The man is young, maybe 25, his face pale with shock. Lay him down. Carefully. Kongdae's jaw tightens, but he doesn't argue. He nods to his men, who lower the guard onto the marble floor with surprising gentleness. Ada works quickly, cutting away the blood-soaked shirt to reveal a deep gash across the man's shoulder, a graze from a bullet, not a direct hit. Painful and bleeding heavily, but survivable. You're going to be fine, she tells the guard in her accented Korean, her hands already cleaning the wound. Stay still for me. She's aware of Kongdae watching her, of his men forming a protective semicircle around them, weapons trained on the elevator and stairwell access. This is his world, violence and loyalty, blood and protection. She's seeing it fully for the first time, not just the aftermath, but the reality. The breach? She asks without looking up, her fingers working to close the wound with careful stitches. Contained. Kongdae's voice is tight. 2 shooters made it to our floor. Both dead. Sung Min is sweeping for others. Ada finishes the last stitch and bandages the wound. The guard, Jiwoo, she remembers his name from the few times she's served him tea, grabs her hand with surprising strength. Thank you, he says in English, the words heavily accented but sincere. Thank you, Miss Ada.
She squeezes his hand back.
Rest now. Kongdae helps her to her feet, his touch lingering on her elbow. She sees something new in his eyes as he looks at her. Not just desire, but respect. Pride, even. Take Jiwoo to medical, he orders his men. Double the perimeter. I want to know how they got past the lobby. As his team mobilizes, Kongdae's hand slides down to capture hers, his thumb brushing over her knuckles, now stained with Jiwoo's blood. You didn't run, he says quietly.
No.
Ada meets his gaze. I didn't. Why not? Because this is where you are. Because I understand now, you're not just dangerous, you're necessary.
You protect your people.
You bleed for them. Because someone needed help, she says instead. His fingers tighten around hers, and she knows he hears everything she didn't say. The penthouse is secure by nightfall, but neither of them sleeps. Ada finds herself in the kitchen again. Always the kitchen, their beginning and their constant, unable to settle. She's making tea she doesn't want when she feels him behind her. You should be resting, Kongdae says. So should you. She doesn't turn around. But here we are. He moves closer, and Ada's breath catches as his hands settle on her waist, pulling her back against his chest. The gesture is possessive, tender, nothing like the clinical positioning from their training sessions. I can't stop thinking about you. His voice is raw, stripped of its usual control. I haven't been able to since the day you walked into this penthouse wearing that ridiculous oversized sweater and asked if you could organize my books. Ada's hands still on the teacup. Kongdae. I've watched you on the security feeds. The confession tumbles out like he's been holding it back too long. Not to spy. Just to see you. The way you hum when you cook. The way you rearrange the throw pillows by color even though I tell you not to bother. The way you look at me when you think I'm not watching. He turns her to face him, and the intensity in his eyes steals her breath. I am obsessed with you, Ada. I have been for months. And that night when I came home bleeding, when you chose to save me instead of running. His thumb traces her lower lip. You ruined me for anyone else. Completely. I'm not. Ada struggles for words. I'm just. You're everything. He leans down, forehead resting against hers. You're brave and brilliant and so fucking beautiful it hurts to look at you. And I need you to tell me right now if you want me to stop, because if I kiss you again, I won't be able to walk away. Ada's answer is to close the distance between them. The kiss is different from the first, less desperate, more deliberate. Kongdae takes his time, his hands sliding into her hair as he angles her head, deepening the kiss until Ada's knees weaken. She grabs his shirt for balance, and he lifts her onto the kitchen island in one fluid movement. Tell me to stop, He breathes against her mouth, his hands spanning her waist. Don't stop. Her legs wrap around him. Don't you dare stop. He carries her to his bedroom, their mouths never separating, and when he lays her down on his bed, their bed now, Ada knows there's no going back. The maid and her employer, the witness and the criminal. Those versions of themselves are dying with each kiss, each touch, each whispered confession. What emerges in the aftermath, tangled in silk sheets as dawn breaks over Seoul, is something new, something equal, something terrifying and perfect. You're mine now, Kang-dae says, his fingers tracing patterns on her bare shoulder. In every way that matters. Ada turns to face him, seeing the vulnerability beneath the possessive words. Then you're mine too. His smile is small, rare, devastating. I've been yours since you asked me how I take my tea, Ada.
You just didn't know it yet.
5 days later, Kang-dae stands in her doorway holding a garment bag, his expression unreadable. There's an event tonight. The Red Gala at the Shilla Hotel. He enters without invitation, laying the bag on her bed. I need to attend. Ada looks up from the book she's been pretending to read. Okay. You're coming with me. Her heart stumbles. As what? Your maid. As my partner. He unzips the bag, revealing a gown that probably costs more than her nursing tuition, deep emerald silk that shimmers in the light. I'm done hiding you, Ada. Done pretending you're anything less than essential to me. Kang-dae, if this is about security, it's about claiming you. Publicly. He sits beside her, taking her hand. There's a traitor in my organization. Someone who's been feeding information to the Vipers, the group who attacked us. The gala is a trap to draw them out. Ada's blood runs cold. You're using yourself as bait.
Yes.
And I need you visible, protected, surrounded by my men. If I leave you here and something goes wrong, his jaw clenches. I can't protect you if I'm not with you. So you're coming to the gala as my date. Let them see that you belong to me. Let them know that touching you means death. It should sound insane. It should terrify her. But Ada understands the logic, the strategy, the dark possessiveness underlying the words. What do I need to do? She asks. His smile is sharp, dangerous. Wear the dress. Stand by my side. And trust that I will burn the world down before I let anyone hurt you. The Shilla Hotel glitters like a jewel box, all crystal chandeliers and marble floors. Ada descends from the car on Kang-dae's arm, the emerald gown flowing around her like water, her natural hair styled in an elegant updo that showcases her neck and the diamond earrings he'd given her an hour ago. She feels every eye turn their way. Kang-dae's hand settles possessively on her lower back, his tailored black suit making him look like the dangerous king he is. The dragon tattoo on his neck is visible, deliberate, a warning and a declaration. They're staring, Ada murmurs.
Good.
He leans down, his lips brushing her ear. Let them look. Let them see that the head of Geometriune has claimed someone. Let them wonder what it means. Inside, the ballroom is a sea of Korea's elite, business moguls, politicians, and underneath it all, the criminal underbelly dressed in designer suits. Ada recognizes the predators immediately. Kang-dae has taught her well. He introduces her simply. This is Ada. She's with me. No last name.
No explanation.
Just possession and protection wrapped in 3 words. They're 2 hours into the carefully choreographed evening, Ada making polite conversation while Kang-dae's eyes constantly scan the room when his phone buzzes. He glances at it, and Ada sees his expression go cold. Stay with Sung-min, he orders, signaling his head of security. Don't leave his sight. What's wrong? The traitor just made his move. I need to. The lights go out. Gunfire erupts in the darkness, muzzle flashes illuminating the ballroom in strobe light horror. Ada feels Sung Min grab her arm, pulling her toward what she hopes is an exit, but the crowd is panicking, stampeding, and they're separated in seconds. She's alone in the chaos. A hand clamps over her mouth from behind. Ada remembers Kangdae's training and drops, her full body weight breaking the hold. She drives her elbow back hard, feels it connect with ribs, hears a grunt of pain. She runs. The emergency lights flicker on, bathing everything in red. Ada finds herself in the hotel's industrial kitchen, her heels abandoned somewhere in the ballroom. A man appears in the doorway, not Kangdae, not security. A stranger with a gun. Kangdae's little pet. He sneers in Korean. You're coming with me. Ada's hand closes around a knife from the counter. I don't think so. He laughs, raising the weapon. Ada throws the knife, not at him, at the overhead lights. Glass shatters, plunging the kitchen into darkness. She hears him curse, stumbling forward. She grabs a pot of boiling stock from the stove and swings. The scream tells her she connected. She doesn't wait to see the damage, just runs again, her heart thundering, Kangdae's voice in her head. Survive. Whatever it takes, survive. She bursts through a door into a service corridor and slams directly into a solid chest. Arms wrap around her. She fights, kicking, clawing. Ada, it's me.
Kangdae.
His voice breaks through her panic. His hands frame her face, his eyes wild with fear as they search her for injuries. There's blood on his shirt, not his, she thinks, and his weapon is drawn. Are you hurt? His hands run over her arms, her sides, frantic. Did they touch you? Did they?
I've fine. I'm okay.
She grabs his face, forcing him to look at her.
I'm okay.
A sound behind them. Kangdae moves faster than thought, putting himself between Ada and the threat. A man emerges from the shadows, someone Ada recognizes from the penthouse photos. Someone who looks like Kangdae. Brother, the man says in Korean, raising his gun. You should have stayed away from her. The traitor. Everything happens at once. The gun swings toward Ada. Kangdae lunges, shoving her aside. The shot goes off and Kangdae jerks from the impact, but he doesn't go down. The bulletproof vest. Ada realizes. He'd been wearing a vest. Kangdae's return shot is immediate, final. His brother drops. The penthouse is quiet. Too quiet after the violence of the gala, after the sirens and the police and the careful lies told to protect what remains of Kangdae's empire. Ada sits on the edge of the bed where she'd first chosen him, watching as he emerges from the bathroom. The vest is gone, revealing the massive bruise blooming across his ribs where the bullet hit. He'll be sore for weeks, but alive. He's holding something, a plane ticket. I had Sungmin book this while we were at the hospital. He sets it on the bed between them. First class to anywhere you want. New passport under a clean name. Bank account with enough money that you'll never have to work again. You can go back to school. Finish your degree. Have a life. Ada stares at the ticket. Lagos. Home. Freedom. Everything she thought she wanted. You're giving me an out, she says quietly. I'm giving you a choice. He sits beside her, careful of his injuries. What happened tonight? My brother trying to kill you because you're my weakness. It will happen again. Different faces, same threat. I can't promise you safety, Ada. I can't promise you normal. All I can promise is that I will spend every day of my life protecting you, worshiping you, and probably driving you insane with how possessive I am. He takes her hand, his thumb brushing over her knuckles. But you deserve better than a life, looking over your shoulder. Better than a man whose world is built on violence. So I'm giving you the choice I should have given you from the beginning.
Leave.
Be free. Be safe. Ada picks up the ticket. Kangdae's expression remains carefully neutral, but she sees the fear in his eyes, the terror that she'll actually go. She tears the ticket in half, then in half again, and again, until it's confetti in her hands. I already made my choice, she says, meeting his gaze. The night you stumbled into the kitchen bleeding. The night I chose to save you instead of running. Every night since when I chose to stay. Ada, I'm not leaving you. She takes his face in her hands. I'm not afraid of your world. I'm not intimidated by the danger. Because I know who you are underneath all of it. I've seen you bleeding and vulnerable. I've seen you protect your people. I've seen you trust me with your life. Tears streak down her cheeks, but her voice is steady. I choose you, Kangdae. Not as your maid, not as your captive, but as your equal, your partner, your. My everything, he finishes, his forehead resting against hers. My queen. The kiss is soft, reverent, a seal on a promise made in blood and tested by fire. When morning comes, Ada stands at the floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Seoul, wearing not a maid's uniform but one of Kangdae's shirts and her own strength. He joins her, wrapping his arms around her waist, pulling her back against his chest. Below them, the city wakes up, oblivious to the darkness that lives in penthouses and ballrooms, unaware that empires are built and defended by people willing to do terrible things for those they love. Nori 그랬지? Kangdae asks quietly. Ada laces her fingers through his, feeling the weight of the diamond ring he'd slipped onto her finger while she slept. Not a proposal, not yet, but a promise of one. No regrets, she confirms. Just us. And in the reflection of the window, she sees them as they truly are. Not master and servant, not captor and captive, but partners standing side by side against whatever comes next. The maid who saved the monster who loved her back, and the empire they would rule together. Please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share. I love you all.